In this episode, we are finally going to install the loader on our Belarus 250 AS tractor. If you're a nerd like I am, you can find these cool models online. You know, I saw this and I just had to get one. Why? I don't know. But hey, that's pretty cool. It's got a cab on it, which ours doesn't have yet, but maybe we'll have a cab someday. Can't find one with a loader, but hey, you can get it without the cab too, but you know, pretty cool little thing if you are into these things. Keep them on your desk. It's very detailed. Got all the engine details and the, you know, even the cab details. It's got the brake levers and the throttle levers and everything in there. It's very cool. Even got a upper link on the, even got an upper link on the PTO and windshield wipers. So that's a little cool little thing. Why did I get it? No idea, but I have it. All right, I think that's where we're gonna drop it, you know, right here in the middle of the shop, so we have lots of working room. And yeah, then we can basically, we're gonna start with the loader. We're gonna drop this loader down. Most of the hydraulics are just connected. There's just one or two lines that are actually still connected to the tractor. So we're gonna drop this whole assembly down, and then we're gonna get behind her and pull her away from the loader. Then we're gonna take Svetlana and drive her around onto the loader. That's the plan now. You know, in about 15 minutes it'll probably change, but yeah, for now that's the plan. So we got this thing off the trailer now. The hydraulic splitter, whatever, valve assembly, I don't know where that's supposed to be mounted exactly. We're gonna have to come up with somewhere to mount that, but it's just hanging loose here, and they disconnected the hydraulic lines, which I'm sure is gonna be all sorts of fun to kind of see what is supposed to go back together. I don't know how that's gonna work. If I get new hydraulic lines, I can maybe make them a little longer and mount it in a convenient location, but we'll see. At this point, the main job is to get this tractor off of this loader with, well, we don't have fancy equipment. We just got basic hand tools at the moment, and we're even suffering for jacks and things because of this project. You know, most of our equipment, jack stands and jacks are under that, but yeah. So let's start to loosen some rusty bolts here and see what happens. This tire has gone flat. You know, big surprise given that valve stem fix. But you know, it still rolls okay because these big farm tires are, I'm not worried about ruining the tire because it's pretty much already ruined. You know, there's chunks of rubber missing, and you know, it'd be great if you were gonna go out and just, you know, abuse the snot out of something and you knew you were gonna abuse it. You could just throw those tires on it, but yeah, well, I'm glad I have Svetlana over here, because this mud pit of a, well, my shop, just, you know, we were actually spinning, backing up at one point. Got some clods there, but She was digging in real good, but she did it. She's a faithful girl. So I gotta get some of this junk out of here. This is just ridiculous. Back the trailer up because I'm gonna get rid of some of that scrap pile, and you know, the working part of my shop here. It's just a bunch of miscellaneous junk. Anyway, so the loader is next. It looks like it's just 3 attachment points, and then, well, four attachment points. We got the front, and we got 2 U-bolts on each side. One U-bolt on each. There's not one over here. U-bolt missing. We'll have to get something for that. Anyway, 3 U-bolts on the engine mounts there, and then big old bolts on the back. Yeah, so we're just gonna, you know, basically support the frame, and then we're gonna unbolt it. At least that's the plan. Yeah, got a little bird nesting in the shed there. I've been trying to kind of stay away from them to let them do their thing, but I got to get in there to get a part. So yeah, I'll just be real quick in and out. Anywho, we'll leave them alone to do their thing. Their mama gets a little bit mad when I take a look at them. Left some suet in here for them. Oh, I ate it all up. Take that pan away. Oh, mommy did anyway. All right, well, we got our tractor splitting stand under the front. Now this section is separate. This cantilevered section is completely separate from the main frame down there. So I'm going to support that so it doesn't just fall away, because we're going to have to put our new tractor in here. Newer. So before I take these bolts out, and we'll have to pump up that tire at some point, I guess, maybe, but even this out. But we got an old bottle jack under there. Unfortunately, most of my good equipment is under that Duramax right now, but that's getting a transmission job. So, you know, that's not really exciting. I would cover that, but no one wants to see a transmission going in and out. So I just got to support the front of this frame here, and then I can, I'm gonna make sure everything is tight up against the tractor. Then I'm gonna loosen the bolts. Then I can lower these down. This thing, fortunately, I can lower both sides independently, and that won't matter anyway, because I can just pull straight away from the front frame of the tractor there. That, I think, is, from what I can see, oh, there's bolts behind there. I'm gonna have to pull those out first, then put the jack in. Okay, we'll have to revise that a little bit, but let's see. I'm gonna have to scrounge another jack from somewhere to support the front. This thing, I'm guessing it isn't light, but you know, we'll see what happens. Well, appears they put the wrong thread bolt on. This is a coarse thread and U-bolt's a fine thread on this one, so I guess we're gonna need 2 new U-bolts because there's one missing. We are completely disconnected now from the loader. I gotta strap up that hydraulic pump over there so I can push the tractor back, but let's kind of lower this down a little bit and make sure she clears. I think that'll clear. I think we just have to pump that tire up and then we can roll her back. Make sure everything's, final check, make sure everything's disconnected. All right, we're gonna drag this back. We gotta suspend this hydraulic pump somehow. Not pump. Hydraulic doohickey. You know what I mean. Yeah, that should work. All the lines are disconnected there. So, oh, that's not going to clear. Why didn't somebody warn me about that? How's that going to work? I'm such an idiot. Yeah, because you can't get this off with that giant thing right there. How is this gonna work? I guess I don't know. I don't know. How did they get it on? Short of, I probably lowered it down, but I don't have that kind of lift, you know. Well, I didn't think this out at all. I guess the front has to come forward and the back has to go back. That's not gonna work. Well, you smart folks with eyeballs in your head have probably been looking at this the whole time and just laughing your head off, that thinking I'm gonna roll this back with these posts in the way. I don't know. It's like this needs to be disconnected down here and lifted up over the tire. I don't know. I don't have a lift to do that with though. Well, not gonna work out quite like I thought it would. That's, yeah, I mean, or at all. Oh, yeah, I'm an idiot. Okay, what now? What should we do, Winston? What does one do in this case? I don't know. I don't really want to disassemble the whole loader. I don't have the equipment to lift it up off of there. What does one do in this situation? Could I ease it past if I set it down flat on the ground? You know, I might be able to. I don't know. Well, maybe. I'm not sure. No, because the axle still has to pass through that area. It's got to come up. Wow. Let me think about this. Okay, so here's my crazy plan. So we're going to unbolt the bottom of these struts from the bar there, and we're going to hook a winch and pulley up to, I don't know, somewhere about here, pull in the center, and we're just kind of lever this thing up, including those, until they can clear the wheels and tires. And then we'll just lay this frame flat in the ground, and yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Okay, well, let's see if it's gonna work. Well, I had to take a little bit more apart than I wanted to, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. So we're going to pull Olga off of the loader and get her out of the way, and we can drive Svetlana on and start getting her hooked up. Yeah. Brakes off, she's in neutral. I don't know. I guess this will work. So I think we all have all the parts ready to go on here, except we have to take the front off of Svetlana so we can get the counter brace hooked up. Let's take that off. Okay, take off the suitcase weights. These aren't lightweight for anyone wondering. My goodness. Okay, 6 bolts, one behind the tube there that's impossible to get except without a wrench. Size is this? 24 millimeter. Well, I guarantee you I don't have a wrench that size. Well, fortunately it's pretty close to 7/8, so no, it's not. These are different than the other tractor. Used the other tractor's bolts to size that while I was over at the truck, and well, guess I started using bigger bolts on later tractors. I don't know if the thread is the same size. Okay. See if I can hold this without breaking my foot. This feels like a two-person job here. Note to self, if I ever do this again, get another person. Oh, that's not light either. Okay. I don't think there's anything to keep us. Interesting. I just noticed, I think I noticed before, but I never made a note of it. You can kind of see the tractor serial number, 678730. Yeah, it's stamped right, or it's painted right on the engine support. I don't know if all tractors. Let's take a look at Olga. Yeah, it looks like at one time Olga had it there too. Interesting. Wonder why they did that, especially so close to the plate. I guess maybe so somebody could stand back here while they're shipping them and say, yep, that's serial number whatever. Yeah, useless facts. Okay, I think I'm ready to pull Svetlana off up here and smash my headlights against this loader. I'm gonna try not to do that, I think. So yeah, let's pull up a little bit and see where we're at. stopped there. Obviously I'm still short for the loader, but I stopped there because I want to get the under frame on, and I pull it back far enough apparently. So yeah, I'll do that. So get all that lined up. All my little birdies have grown up and flown away. They're all gone. Empty nest, except for eggshells and I think one poor little egg that didn't hatch. No, I think it did hatch. It's just, yeah, just broken. Okay, well, I got the frame on and that's tightened down. We still got 2 U-bolts in the front we're missing, but let's see if we can get this a little closer to being done. So I have the loader completely installed. Camera battery went dead the other day before I could finish tightening all the bolts and everything, and so everything is tightened. We're still missing the 2 U-bolts in the front that I have to find somewhere. I'm having a bear of a time finding these big 5/8 inch diameter U-bolts, you know, at least at a reasonable price and not $60 a pop. So I got to get 2 of them because, you know, that kind of doubles the load bearing capacity of that frame. So before I actually haul anything, it'll do fine with just hauling the weight of this around between that and cantilevered in the back of the frame. And it's got this front cantilever as well, and that's hooked in. So the only thing that remains here, main thing that remains, is the hydraulics. The headlights, well, the way they have these hydraulic lines wired, I was hoping this wasn't going to happen, but we're going to have to redo something here, because right, and even over on this side, every time you lower the loader, it's going to want to hammer the headlights up. So hydraulics. Oh, and this is more heavy duty than it looks, and it does have grease zerk fittings on all of the rotational joints. I have to actually get the bucket up in the air before I can grease the lower points here, but the next stage is to get the hydraulic valves hooked up and then plumb it into the pump here, and then see what lines are going to blow. So pretty much just we got to get this assembly off of Olga and the control valves up there. Not sure at the moment how they're bolted on, but I'm sure it's just a couple bolts down here underneath, and we'll pull all that assembly off and bring it over to this one. So I'm gonna detach that. So I got most of the hydraulics off of Olga here. The control is actually a cable control. I didn't actually look at this stuff real close before I took it apart, so anything I said previously, just ignore completely. This control is a cable control. There's 2 cables that come down to the spool valve assembly. I gotta dismount that, but we got the hydraulic part off. I'm gonna have to get some new hoses here, but I dismounted the valve assembly here, and I think, I can't quite figure out where they had it mounted, but I think it mounts maybe to these 2 engine mount bolts. So that's maybe, and then faces this way, so the hydraulic lines kind of have to curl around. It's not the best system in the world, but I think that's the way they had it, so I think that's how we're going to mount it. I need to get the supply return line. It goes into the bottom of the hydraulic tank, so I think it's actually like a, I think it's actually supply line. I'm not sure, but it just bent and crumbled when I went to take it off, so we're gonna have to get a new 4 or 5 foot line, whatever that is. I'm sure that's going to be painful, but we'll work it out. I was hoping not to spend a lot of money on this thing. That was kind of the goal, because well, I don't have a lot of money. But anyway, right now the secondary valve is just kind of looped in place. You know, it just loops back on itself. So the way they have it plumbed is there's a line that comes off the top of the pump here and goes to the auxiliary, and then it goes back to this valve here. These lines are just, I'm trying not to bend them too much because I think they'll survive with light bending and movement, but as soon as you try to go through stiff bends or something, I think they'll be toast. So I'm sure at some point I'll end up replacing them, but I am not going to do that yet. So I can mount the hydraulic valve, but I can't actually hook it up and run it till I order some hydraulic hoses. The second hose I need, I think I have a hose laying around here somewhere that can replace this one, is this one that goes from the valve assembly here up to the actual controls on the tractor. So you can see where that one just kind of torqued off right there, and I just cut the remaining. But yeah, that one did not have this one didn't have swivel ends on it either, so I think that contributed a good bit to its poor aging qualities. So we'll get some of that mounted and hopefully a little bit cleaned up, and we'll see what we've got. I got the lever mounted. That was kind of a pain. I wanted to mount it down lower, but you have to mount it up here, or this can't go down, you know, because of the metal in the way. There's a little bit of binding in there. I'm not sure if it's in the valve part, or I don't think it's in the lever part. Also, they had some wire wrapped around here because the side wants to pop out, but that's why I don't have the boot fully installed yet. We'll figure that out. These hydraulic lines may hold up. I did mount the valve block down here. It seems like where it's supposed to be mounted, especially given the curve of these lines and everything. Seems about right. These, we're gonna run these we'll tie them up kind of out of the way here. They will stick out the side a little, but not much you can do about that. We're waiting on some hydraulic lines. I have two lines, one from the lever up there and one to the reservoir in the back that I am waiting for. Those have to be replaced. They were just completely trashed, unlike these, which are about 90% trashed. So once we have that up, then we can verify, you know, what's going to break next. Okay, so we're ready to, well, I got some hydraulic parts. Oh, hi Winston, you got some hydraulic parts? No, he doesn't have them. So I got a new hose to go from the reservoir up to the front, and some fittings, and I have some fittings for the second line too. But to do this, of course the reservoir is full of oil, so you got to pull this plug and you got to stick the fitting in and run the hose, you know. So you either got to drain the tank or you got to do it really fast. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna do it the wrong way. I'm just gonna pull that out, jam it in. Yeah, okay. But first, I'm gonna hook the hose up to this end, and yeah, that way at least we'll kind of have it plugged off. Either that or I'll run the hose up in the air so that oil can't flow upwards. I don't know what we're gonna do. Let's find out. So this hose is a swivel end, unlike the last one. The hose they had on here was not, it didn't have swivel ends on it. So that's one of the reasons it was so hard to get off and brittle, and you know, just a little bit of twisting accidentally and she was gone. So all right, after a little bit of working, we got this hose routed through there and comes around, and I decided to route it this way because on short notice I couldn't find any 90-degree bends in this thread, so I needed this height to come down around without a sharp kink in the hose. If I came down where they had originally routed it under here parallel with this line, it would have to have a sharp kink up and down, but this way it's just nice loose curves. So now we just need to hook up the input line here. And then it'll be ready to test, I believe. I'm still waiting on some hydraulic parts. I'm temporarily using this old line that's probably gonna pop like a cheap balloon as soon as I start it up, but you know, I can't wait any longer. I've been waiting and waiting for parts, and well, I don't know. Let's see if it pops. Let me find my keys. Yeah, we got a leak there, and she started popping out down here. Yeah, looks like that was just a loose fitting. This over here, it's just it's this metal line here. So I guess I have to fabricate or find another line or run a hose across to that. That's unfortunate. Well, I must have forgot to tighten that one down there. You know, it's been so long between here. This one was just spraying like a fire hose. Do we have one over here too? Maybe it's leaking on both ends. I don't know. Looks like we got a little bit of liquid here somewhere where it was spraying. I know for sure it was spraying over there, but maybe it just arced. It was definitely making some pressure. I don't know if I've ever noted this before, but this does have rear hydraulic hookups on it. They're just capped off. So it'd be real easy to add hydraulics to the rear of one of these tractors. All right, so I got this off. I'm looking at it, the pinhole. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right there, kind of at the corner of the brush. Anyway, this is all eroded. It is steel. Looks like they brazed on the line, but it is steel. I guess I'm gonna try to weld that up. This is inadvisable. I definitely don't recommend it, but I don't have the stuff to fabricate this here, and this project just keeps going on and on. So worst case scenario, you know, she pops another hole in her, but let's see what happens. All right, let's try round two. So we've been going through the painstaking process of, you know, find a leak, fix a leak, find a leak, fix a leak, because this thing's so old. So we've got all new hydraulic hoses connected to our spool valve there. These hoses surprisingly appear to be okay. It's a little bit wet there because we had a leak in my temporary orange hose that went here. It just popped like a cork and sprayed fluid all over. I got to give this thing a good pressure washing when we're done here, but right now we're up here with this, well, the cylinder that isn't there. It's supposed to look like this, the bucket's curl cylinder. So basically we had a pinhole leak here, and I tried to fix it on the machine, but I was welding upside down and it was just really inconvenient. So I'm just cutting off the patch I tried and starting over. This is not the best or proper way to fix this, not even remotely, but I'm gonna fill that up with weld because, well, I don't have the money for a new cylinder, and it's just, you know, that's the way she goes. For anyone wondering, this is an LL1000. I can finally see the manufacturer plate now that the bucket's curled down. Made by Brantly Manufacturing company. I did find some manuals and specs for these things. The LL1000 is rated for 1,000 pounds, and I think it's like 16 or 1700 breakaway. So 1,000 pounds is, well, that's actually more than I even needed. I didn't even think it was 1,000 pounds, but yeah, I mean, that'll do more than what I want it to do. We got the up and down working fine without leaks, but I I just have these cylinder hoses temporarily connected together. You don't want to run it that way though. And of course I patched a hole in this down here, and again it's all wet because the cylinder was leaking. But you can kind of see how these cylinders have not aged well. This one's about, you know, ready to pop because she's just very, very rusty. But that's about how that one was, and I kind of cut and, you know, out of the corner there, and we're gonna fill that with some weld, hopefully. But this is how it's supposed to look. It's just supposed to be this round welded on fitting. So hopefully, cross your fingers, once I have that done, I can hook these lines up again and test her out, and hopefully she'll work. I was having a little bit of trouble with the joystick control here. This just uses cables to operate the spool valve, and they had it wired up here on this one so it didn't pop out, and I'm not sure why exactly, but I'm gonna leave this boot off for now, because once we're running it, we'll probably find out why they had that wired, you know. But if you have to haul on the lever that much, there's something else wrong with the system. But she goes up and down really nice. So hopefully once I get the bucket curl section done here, then we can get something done. These control cables here on the other tractor, they kind of went down through this hole here, and you know, they had some tight bends in them, which isn't great, which might have been part of the reason why it was popping off there. You can kind of tell where it was bent really hard. And I'm not going to do that when we put the cab on here. When we finally get to that, I'm just going to run it under the metal section here, because there's a rubber seal across the bottom of the cab. So I'm just, you know, for now, what I'm going to do is kind of wire tie these out of the way, and that'll kind of keep them, you know, about where they should be. So, but I'm not going to worry about little niceties like that until we actually get everything working on here. But we're getting there. I found a whole bunch of leaks and things, and I've replaced various hoses, and you know, that's what you get when you buy an old loader. But for the price I paid for it, it's still worth it. You know, we're well within our budget for this thing, which is not a whole lot of money. So, bad news, we were not able to salvage this cylinder. More bad news, I wasn't able to find an exact replacement for the cylinder. And because they're paired, you know, they have to have the same stroke and bore and everything else, or in the exact center to center length, or they're going to be fighting each other a little bit. So these cylinders are very old, and I figured, well, I was looking at this one, and she's, well, she's a Maypop. She's gonna go any day, even if I did manage to find a matching cylinder to salvage it. It's just, it's a mess. So I decided to find the closest paired set of cylinders I could find with all the correct specifications for these, and I bought 2 of them. So here we go. These do not have the metal lines end to end to get both fittings on the same end, so we have hoses for that. We're just going to extend them and fasten them in place. Since I don't feel like fabricating metal lines, we got right angle fittings. That plug is busted off in the hole. That's fantastic. You get what you pay for, I guess. But these have the same center to center measurement, and they have the same pin diameter for the clevis. They are more cheaply made. They have this you know, screw body design, but they are rated for a much higher pressure than what this loader can provide and what this loader is rated for. The specs say it's 1,000 psi max, and those are like 3,000 psi cylinders, I believe. These are not expensive cylinders I got. These are basically the cheapest thing I could find online, because, you know, I have no money. So, and the hoses and everything were not cheap, but they're still cheaper than buying a real expensive custom-made cylinder, or taking this somewhere and having it, you know, hours of labor to get it back to its present self. And even if I did that, you know, I've got this one that can blow any second over here. So We're going to replace both cylinders. I don't know why nothing grows in my yard. Well, started putting this all together, and then I quickly figured out that they sent me the wrong hydraulic fittings. Yeah, so that's a success. Obviously I have never used a tractor loader before. I'm a skid steer type of person, but we're actually not going to be scooping much. It's kind of hard to see the bucket, you know, where your visibility wise, what your tilt is. You can see the up and down pretty good, but you got to really look out the side. But she works, and that's the main thing. Mostly what I want this thing for is to move equipment around and heavy stuff that I don't want to lift, because, well, I'm weak and lazy. So you know, if I need to pull an engine or lift a transmission or something that's heavy rather than hurt my back, I'm going to use this front end loader because it's cheap and it's what I got, and it's going to be the easiest way, and visibility won't matter quite as much for that because you'll be up in the air. But it does scoop and work, and that's just what that little test was for over there. Tractor loaders are harder to use than skid steers, and I guess that's why people don't like them. Like I said, I never ran a tractor loader before. I just, you know, skid steer, you're right there, bucket's right there in front of you, you can see what you're doing. These things, you got a big engine in front of you, so yeah, I see why backhoes and stuff aren't quite so popular, but she works if you want to come in here. So what we had to do is, like I described earlier, we're running a hose up here because there's not a solid metal line built into these cylinders. They're just ports, and we adapted with 90-degree fittings, extended this, and then just adapted hose to hose here. All the hoses are holding up. There are 2 clamps that go back in here I haven't installed yet because I was waiting to see what exploded. I'm going to put them back in. They just hold stuff together, and we'll zip tie some of these up out of the way so that they aren't sticking, you know, out, and maybe the headlights will work a little better then. But yeah, these, where do we get these cylinders? I don't know. Whatever the cheapest place on the internet was. Loader works. Actually, it works really good. If you come over here to the joystick control, the joystick control is a little, I got to grease her up or something. She's a little bit sticky. I think it was sitting so long that maybe it's just, I don't know, or maybe the valve is a little sticky, but sometimes it gets stuck a little bit and you got to whack it back into shape. But they had a wire wrapped around here, as I said before, and I can't figure out why, because nothing came loose or anything when I was running it. But so I guess at some point I'll put this boot back on. I got to loosen these screws so I can get the boot down, but that held up pretty good. I got to adjust the brakes in this thing, but somebody drove with the e-brake on.
Uh-oh.
So, oh, they're just band brakes. Yeah, so she works. It does, I noticed it does drift down over time. I didn't set the bucket down completely because I want to see just how long it takes for these cylinders. These are the old original cylinders. I want to see how long it takes them to bleed down and hit the ground. So, you know, if it's still this good in the morning, then well, she's got some stiffness to her, doesn't she? That's good. So I don't know if I said before, this loader is made by Brantly Manufacturing Company, which are no longer in business. They were bought out by somebody who was bought out by somebody else, who was bought out by somebody else, and on and on. And they made a lot of backhoes. If you look them up online, you can see backhoes are the most popular thing. But they made 3 series of these loaders, and this is the biggest series. It's rated for 1,000 pounds, which is probably where the LL 1000 comes from. Serial number? I don't know. This is number 117, so I'm guessing they didn't make that many of them. But it's rated for 1,000 pounds and what, 1700 breakaway, so that's pretty good. These aftermarket cylinders I got are actually overrated for this application, so hopefully they'll hold up. I don't know. They're, you know, the cheapest thing I could find that met the spec, but they're working great, and they both match, of course. They're working in tandem. So yeah, she's gonna do the trick for what we need her for, and that'll finally wrap up this loader episode. Has been going on and on and on
And on.
and on. So that'll wrap up this episode. If you like what we're doing, feel free to like, subscribe. We appreciate it. It helps the channel grow. And hopefully sometime in the future we're going to be putting a cab on this tractor. If you've seen in other episodes, we do have a cab on another tractor that we're going to move over to this one. I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but that's going to be its own episode because I don't have a crane or anything. But anyway, we finally got our loader on, so if you stuck with us this long, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Episode. What are they doing over there?
Sorry.
Hold on, the Navy's got to fly over. They're always flying left and right, right and left. I don't know. Are you okay?
No, but it's fine.
You look like you're ready to fall over.